state.
So I'm like, what kind of room? I don't know. Like, I got the money in the budget to spend that. And it's like, that's why I'm like, nothing's guaranteed. I'm like, let me take this people. Like, I don't know what you're. For 500, that is from the Art Association. About roughly. Wow. And the average is that's a really hard. And you're good with us putting it in, right?
I don't know if you want to do it or not, but when you get to it, if you don't have anybody, it's really good. You're trying to retire.
So that's right.
It is a problem.
You guys ready? Stand for the pledge, please.
That was me that cut the knife.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. This is Monday, August 2nd. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, come up to this microphone up here to give us your name, your address, and tell us what's on your mind. Could I have the roll call, please?
Cedar?
Here.
Kinsvatter?
Here.
Kleeman?
Here.
Koopa?
Here.
Laporte?
Here.
Paul?
Here.
Councilmember Volz is absent today.
I'll make a motion to excuse member Volz. Support.
All right. Any questions?
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go to consent agenda. A, City Council minutes of July 19th, 2021, special, regular, and closed meetings. Recommendation approved. Zoning Board of Appeals minutes, April 21, 2021, meeting. Recommendation received.
Make a motion to approve A and B as presented.
Support.
Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have no ordinances and resolutions tonight. We'll wait to number 6. Reports administration. Mr. Wilkie, what do you got?
Yes, Your Honor. Just one special event to talk about this evening. Coming up Wednesday, August 4th is Safety Town Day. That's this Wednesday, 4 to 7:30 at 9th and Vine Street in the St. Mary's and Emmanuel Lutheran Church parking lot. I want to make sure that this event is recognized because we have two individuals, both our illustrious police chief and the mayor himself is going to be in the dunk tank. So just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of the opportunity. If they want to sink the mayor, now's their chance this Wednesday, or our police chief. So again, with that, that's the only event I had to talk about this evening.
I really appreciate you bringing that up like that. But any questions from Mr. Rothy? The city attorney's not here tonight. Any departments?
I just want to say that the boat races are over and we're happy, but we really didn't have any big issues. We did make 5 arrests, but several of those we would have made probably if there weren't boat races in town. Traffic was kind of crazy, but these streets aren't built for that kind of people in that amount of time, so we just have to deal with it for 3 days, but other than that, it was a good weekend, I think, so hopefully next year the same.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
D is authorities and boards and commissions. Anybody? Okay, we'll go. We have no unfinished business. Let's go to number 8. Number 8, approved designation of MML representative and delegate. Mr. Rothy.
Yes, Your Honor. On an annual basis, the MML has a convention, and there's a business meeting a part of it. As an MML member, we are asked to designate a representative and an alternate. Recommendation is to designate myself and Member Laporte as the representatives on behalf of the city of
I'll
St.
make
Clair.
that motion.
Support.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. 8B is discussion M29 south of Clinton. Mr. Rother, you want to?
Yes, Your Honor, I'll kick this off, and we do have members of the public here. So first, thank you for attending tonight. It'll be really good to have your input, and you'll add value to the discussion. Some of you haven't been on council when I first received this petition from Mr. Potter and the residents on M29, primarily focused south of the curve, Jets Pizza. And they came to us, and they were concerned with the recent or it's not so recent anymore, modification to M29, whereas before there was 2 northbound and 2 southbound lanes. Now there's just 2 southbound lanes, a single northbound lane, and then a yellow left turn lane, if you will. And they had voiced some concerns with us, so what my natural first step was, let's reach out to MDOT and let's share these concerns with MDOT, and that's exactly what we did. And at the time, I was like, look, we really want to get the traffic away from the curbs. That's what everybody wanted, first and foremost. And MDOT, they said, okay, the MDOT's initial proposal was the best way to do that is let's continue the road diet south of town. So they did the road diet north of the bridge before my time. MDOT's proposal was let's do the exact same thing and carry it all the way to about Palmer Street, where it naturally goes down the 1 lane in each direction. But in order to do that, we had to talk with the railroad. Because whenever you are changing lanes over railroad crossings, the one right by Cargill, the railroad has to sign off on everything. So that meeting, there's a few months lead time to get to that meeting with the railroads. That's kind of just how railroads work. So we met in January of this past year, just a few months ago. Probably on the coldest day of the year too, Chief. But we met with Cargill, we met with the railroad, and the railroad's concern was, if you do this, now that the railroad's taking another look at the signal area, the concern was we don't want traffic backing up over the tracks, especially in that middle turn lane. And so the railroad's like, the only way this is going to go is if a raised island or, a raised median is installed on either side of the tracks in that left turn lane directly north and south of the tracks. And I'm like, well, that'd be a big change. So talked with our harbor master, talked about turning radiuses in and out, harbors, boat traffic. And then I'm like, MDOT, you got to look at and do these, do some traffic studies out here. So they did some turning tables to figure out, what size boat could fit if there's now this concrete island, in the middle of the road where there wasn't one before. Again, that took some time. But it was done. And the last thing now on that part was with the issue with Beaver Lumber, in order to facilitate this and the placement of that island, Beaver Lumber's driveway would become right turn in and right turn out only. The last thing I want to do is, say, yep, let's go ahead and do it without, talking to all the parties involved. So the mayor and I, a few weeks ago, we met with Beaver Lumber. We brought MDOT there, and we also wanted to throw a bunch of other ideas on MDOT. They're really particular on what we can and can't do with that road in terms of transitions. There's a transition into town where the road diet begins. There's a transition at the bridge. Then there's another transition, right around Palmer Street where it goes back to 2. And we're trying to be like, well, what if we just left the railroad exactly how it is, no islands needed or anything, and then we'll just, make the change further south. And MDOT's like, no, that's too many transitions. It's not an option. That was slightly disappointing. But we definitely voiced those concerns, and we're like, let's try and find a better way to do this. So this kind of brings us to tonight. MDOT has essentially said we really have 3 options here, and one of the options wasn't on the table in the beginning, but I think we've been talking to them enough. They're like, all right, we'll give you this one. So before we let the residents talk about the concerns that drove this originally. Right now, what MDOT has proposed to me, which I'm bringing to you and the community at large, is essentially 3 options. First option is to leave it exactly how it is now. The second option would be let's continue that road diet, which would have that raised median at the railroad tracks, 1 northbound, 1 southbound lane through all of town. Beaver's Lumber's driveway would be modified. But also there would be, just like there is on north of the mall on M29, there'd be that, the 6-foot curb where that white line is, for non-motorized traffic on both sides of the road, to help, because they're not going to make the road physically smaller, they're just going to, paint a white line, move that traffic inward. So that's option number 2. And option number 3 now, which wasn't originally on the table, but now it is let's put it back to the way it was before. So let's remove that, it used to be 2 northbound, 2 southbound. Let's get rid of that center turn lane, and let's make that a northbound lane of travel again. And that's kind of, what MDOT's left us is put in our lap. So again, we want to try and get this resolved. Well, we have some residents here, and that's kind of where we're at with the process. Be happy to answer more questions. Bill might be able to help too. He has been with me at some of these meetings, so has Chief Raker. But I think, first and foremost, we should, listen to let the residents speak now too. And again, just looking for a discussion tonight, and hopefully get a resolution and a response to MDOT in the very near future.
Can you explain the purpose again for the raised median?
It was, Railroad was concerned about, because the gates don't go all the way across, so there'd be an opening, and they didn't want traffic backing up, over the tracks. And again, it might be like they can do that now, well,
From the bridge?
Yeah, from the bridge or just in general.
So why would it be necessary to put the median on the north side of the railroad? It doesn't make sense to even put one there.
That was the traffic engineer's design. That's what the railroad said we need them. There's a lot of different regulations that they have to follow when designing these things.
Oh, I get that, but if they're concerned,
it was on both sides.
If their concern is traffic backing up onto the railroad, could they just remove that and leave the one on the south side?
Because the bridge does it effectively, right?
I think,
Yeah, Raker was at that first one.
From what I can remember from that cold January morning standing out there, part of their concern is if they don't raise the median, cars will, if they're not going to wait in line for so long, then they're going to pull a U-turn and go back, and they want to stop that. They want to stop cars from using that, so that's why they want to raise it. And it would even happen on
I understand that for the south side, but why the north side?
because those cars would try and get around. That's what they're concerned about. So they want it raised so they don't try and, I don't know. I tried to talk to engineers, and sometimes I don't understand them.
So if they decided to do the third option, to take it back the south of the bridge the way it used to be with 4 lanes, where would the transition going from 2 northbound lanes to 1 northbound lane at Clinton, where would they make that transition?
To make it go
past the bridge, they'd have to probably go past Clinton. You can't do that in an intersection.
See, that's their trouble. It's going to be 2 lanes, but when they come to the intersection, it's got to be left turn only on the left lane. I mean, otherwise, there's no lane to go forward. So,
and then you do that, I mean, at what point do you do that?
right.
I mean, then you're right back to where we are.
Yep.
It's the same thing. That's,
You
understand what I'm saying?
Y'all are residents out there, right? Yeah.
If you're coming north, you got 2 lanes going in there, and then all of a sudden you cross Clinton, and you don't want to turn, and you're in the west northbound lane. Where do you go with your car? In the center turn lane on the other side of Clinton?
There you go, left.
Well, yeah, he's saying you got to go left.
Yeah, there's got to be.
Yeah.
There's got to be a way to do that. I don't know how they do that. But and the residents who live down there, especially on the east side of the road, if you don't have a back door on your mailbox, it's dangerous getting your mail out of the mailbox.
Oh, I agree.
And but I don't know how they make that transition from the old way to the new way at
Like
the
I
intersection.
said, this was, not even 2 weeks ago, MDOT said, I was out of town the last few days, MDOT sent me that, okay, you know what, were we willing to restore it back to how it was? That option wasn't even, on the table. So that's a detail that, we'd want to be worked out. And, I would imagine before any decision is made, you'd want to see it. Show me what it's going to look like, not just, have me, try and articulate.
Warner, is there any talk of doing it like on the north end, 1 lane each way? So you got that 10, 12 feet?
Yeah, and that's exactly what the MDOT's original solution was. But again, this would necessitate that the island.
I don't understand the island. It's going to back up whether there's an island there or not. I mean, is your cars backing up on the tracks now?
Just make the middle turn lane.
I think the possibility is there.
These islands don't make no sense to me if they're not happening right now. But, I mean, if we take it to one lane going southbound and then cheat everything over, we'll give these guys some room. Make it look like up on the north end.
I'm not that smart, but I know that spending, an MDOT engineer could probably come explain that to you, but if you understand the reason after listening to it, I don't know, I didn't really understand the whole reason, but they're engineers
The
and
left turn lane now, and it's going to be left turn later, so I don't understand. If they should be there, they should be there now.
Right.
That's my take on it.
because I don't know, they have setback rules, they have transition distances, they have all this stuff that they got to work in their little formulas and
Subject to the railroad's approval, too.
and subject to the railroads. The railroad's the king there.
Just silly question. So the issue is we need some buffer on the mailbox sides, and since we shifted the road over, now the tire traffic drives over the cover. MDOT's not willing to make that center turn lane 5 feet wider. That's going to shift the cars 2.5 feet over, and then you still have a buffer on both sides of the road. You're no longer driving over that 2-foot diameter cover, and we just added the space to the middle of the road, which is the turn lane. Did that come up in conversation at all?
I don't think so.
No, my hunch is that if MDOT has to follow certain lane specs, and if the specs don't call for that extra 5 feet, there's no way they're ever going to do that. But
But if we put a bike path down the middle, so I'm just saying,
Yeah.
so,
I don't think they'd go for that.
I'm sure they
but
would.
yeah, no,
point being is, I don't know, I would ask the question.
absolutely.
Can you just make the center lane wider? Shift the cars over?
And I think we should also, listen to, them, right now too, before really, asking more questions to me, just because I think they're your input.
Do you guys have a representative, or do you want to all come up one at a time, or are you the big guy tonight?
I can't control what everybody else's thoughts are altogether, but I have a few of my own, and I think everyone agrees.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, come up to the microphone, sorry about that.
Yeah.
My name's Gordon Potter. I live on Oakland, right kind of kitty corner to Angler Rod. I've met Annette before. She was filling in on the same subject about a year and a half ago. It's still there. We started asking and requesting that something be done with the road in 2018. And in August of 20, January of 20, there was a letter shared with Bill and the City Council about the issues that we were experiencing, mail trucks stopping in the right lane, afraid of collision. Apparently they talked to one of our neighbors about that. It's very, and when that happens, people take to the center lane and floor it, and even with a slow truck in front of them, they take to the center lane and floor it, and that's not safe. I'll go over the talking points I have on here. I think you've got a copy of it. I left it with you earlier. We did a petition in August of 20, with 25 signatures of residents on Oakland, requesting that we make some changes. I think the key to all this is to provide a buffer of at least 2 feet from the curb on the east side, and I think you can accommodate that same thing on the west side. I heard someone talking about that earlier, and that sounds like a good idea. There's a manhole cover also in front of 1441 Oakland that sits lower than the pavement. So when the trucks go through it, pulling trailers, and the semis go through, they hit that, and it shakes the whole house, and it creates a very loud noise. I've gotten that complaint from a number of people as well, and I feel it too, because I'm at the home next door to that. And it seems to be one of the louder noises when the landscape trailers go through, pulling their trailer behind them. It seems to make the most noise when the lawnmowers start banging together at 6 o'clock in the morning, and during the day. I think one of the issues that needs to be addressed is there's no buffer for pedestrian traffic from the south end into town. if you want to walk into town, there's no sidewalk, and I understand that, but if you are walking on the road, you better be prepared to jump up on someone's lawn to walk through that area. The only solution that I've had is I walk through the neighbor's yard up on the riverside and walk down that way. Don't think it's very safe. I've seen people almost get hit out there. It's not a safe thing at all. Also, the center lane is very close. If you're going south and pull in to make a turn out of the center lane, it's so close to oncoming traffic, especially at night, that I keep one wheel over on the other side, just to be sure that I'm not going to have somebody hit me head on. Mail, we talked about retrieving mail. Someone mentioned that, and that's a real issue. Lawn cutting, out cutting the lawn, I have to watch where I'm cutting along the curb area in front, or I'm going to get hit in the elbow with the trucks going through. It's that close. Mail carriers, mentioned that as well. There's a real potential rear-end collisions with the mail truck stopped on that lane. And I also mentioned that the traffic speeds, they exceed the speed limit and they use the center lane to pass slower traffic. They use the center lane as a passing lane when they have a slower traffic in front of them. Before, they were using the inside lane when they had traffic in front of them on the second lane when we had 2 lanes in each direction. There have been some mailboxes hit and damaged. I'm not sure of the exact location, but more up towards the Jets Pizza area. I've been working with Warren and with Mike Booth before this to try and get something resolved. They've been working on it, but MDOT has given all kinds of reasons why you can't do anything or why they can't do it now. But the safety issue continues. I'm just worried that at some point somebody's going to really get injured. It's been in a planning stage for almost 3 years. I don't think that's reasonable. We need to do something before somebody gets hurt. We've asked for a lane change to at least provide a buffer on both sides of the road, if possible. Doesn't have to be big. I know MDOT's going to have some rules along those lines. But I kind of alternate between here and Florida in the wintertime. And what they've done is they've added a strict pedestrian bicycle lane on each side of the road. I don't know that that's possible. I don't know that the room is there for that. But it sure looks like it would solve the problem. That's really all I have to say. I don't know if anybody else has some comments. Gretchen?
One question, Gordon.
Yeah.
These problems that exist now, they are new. They weren't there when the road was just 2 lanes and 2 lanes.
What's that?
The problems you just went through, were those there when it was 2 lanes going each way?
Not as, the pedestrian problem was always there. I mean, you still had to watch where you're walking into town, for sure, and that's never been safe. But as far as the 2 lanes, that was a better situation, but still you had people cutting into the lane next to the curb to pass slower traffic. You still had to be very careful, cutting the lawn, picking up mail, everything else. It's still an issue.
All right, thank you.
Okay?
Yep.
Well, and one other thing, Warren was talking about the left turn lane for cargo. That lane really hasn't changed. It's the same as what it's been before they changed the road. There's always been 2 lanes down in front of cargo along that walkway, and there's still 2 lanes there. It hasn't really changed. It's the same thing that's always been there. I noticed that walking into town the other night up to the boat races. It's the same configuration as it's always been. One of the best improvements that was made is the turning there at Clinton. That's been a big improvement. Turning left into the Voyager and the rest of it, that's been a 100% improvement. That was really a good move. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Gordon.
The hubcap or the cover that gets hit, is that on the east side or it's on the east side? East.
Hi, I'm Gretchen Cosner, and I live at 1441 Oakland. I would like to just, I'm wondering why it's an all or nothing situation. We've got industrial right at the bridge, south of the bridge with the railroads and Cargill, but we're residential. It's different. Why did we get a turn lane in a residential area? It's not necessary for it to be continuous from the railroad tracks down. We appreciate all the work that you've done with the railroad and Cargill trying to figure this out and get a good result, but it's very different from what the residents are going through. And I just wanted to reiterate the noise that manhole cover makes when the trucks or anything hits, that it just vibrates through everything. The manhole cover is actually in the center of that curb lane, but that just shows that how all the traffic wants to stay away from the curb. They're more into the turn lane. Their tires are going on into the turn lane, actually. They don't want to be that close to the curb. And so I even took a picture, Mr. Mayor, you might remember, I took a picture in the winter where the tire tracks showed the left-hand tire of the vehicles is over the yellow line, and the right-hand tire is in the center of that the curb lane, which is causing the noise. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just making some notes.
That's what I'm trying
So the
to...
manhole is in the center lane?
No, it's in the east lane.
It's in the center of the east lane?
Yeah,
Center of the east lane.
pretty much. Anybody else out there? Oh, against, yeah.
Sorry. I forgot to mention one thing. Why does the speed limit change 6 times from the north border to the south border? If you want to slow down traffic, you have to make it more consistent. It does change 6 times between the north and south border. So if cars were meant to slow down and keep that speed, they don't even know what speed to go because
Does it go down and then up and then down and then up?
Yep, it goes from 50 outside north and 50 way to the south, and then it goes to 45, and then to 40, and then to 35, and then to 30 in town, and then to 40 and 50 again.
So it decreases and hits a low and then comes back up.
Correct.
It's a progressional slowdown, right?
Right. But it's so close. I mean, what do we have, a mile and a half of road between the two borders? I'm not sure on that. But it needs to be, the speed needs to be lowered and consistent so that our police could actually give a ticket if these cars are going so fast.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Chief, do you want to add anything to any of this, or you're good? I'm good. Okay. Anybody up here got any questions for anybody out there?
Question for the chief. They're talking about the mail truck stopping in the only lane of traffic and landscapers, grass cutters. What would happen if somebody went around them and hit somebody in the center turn lane?
The person that's driving in the center turn lane would be at fault.
So if you passed in with them blocking the traffic, if you went around them and got an accident.
Technically, they're at fault. Every time the mailman stops in a moving lane of traffic, it's
No,
not.
I mean, you go by there and there's landscaping trailers that just stop in the road. They take their lawnmowers off and cut grass. Now, are these people supposed to wait till they clear that lane? Are they passing the turn lane? Or?
Well, they're considered contractors, so as long as they put their cones out and warn traffic.
You can block the only lane of egress.
Yeah.
With the trailer.
Because there's a turn lane they can go into.
So there's forcing you in a turn lane to go
Right,
around the.
right. You can go in that turn lane, you have to yield. Obviously, if you get in an accident, you didn't yield to whatever's there, but Yeah.
I was just curious, because to make somebody go around and get in the, you're going around the trailer in the blind spot because you don't know what's ahead of you, and you get in the turn lane and you hit somebody, you're at fault.
Yeah, that part of town,
Parking them trailers in the turn lane?
that roadway there was, I don't understand it. That's not the safest thing in the world, the way they did that. I don't know why they did that, but we don't have a whole lot of control over that I know of. It's MDOT. That's their road. They do this.
They did what we asked them to originally when they changed it. That's what we wanted.
2 or 3 options to choose from.
Yeah, but and we give them, we picked our option, and that was the option. I mean, we actually had the final say in it when it came to council.
Based on their options that we have.
Yeah, exactly. But we should have some say in how to fix it, and if it's a safety concern to these people, it needs to get fixed.
Yes, sir.
A comment that on the stopping in that lane, we just put a new driveway in, and a permit.
Come up here, Gordon, so everybody in the world wants to hear you.
We just put a new driveway in,
And the permit from MDOT to stop the traffic in that right lane, the east lane, $850. That's what we had to pay to have the traffic stopped for a 5 or 6 hour period where they poured concrete. The contractor pulled a permit, $850 from MDOT. They upped it from $650 to $850 during the term of the contract. That's another point to consider.
Anybody else?
Yep. They had a bad too.
Same issue back here, they're 2 doors down from us. And same issue, had to pay MDOT a permit to stop traffic, $650 to $850, but maybe yours was $650. I'm not sure.
it was $850.
It was $850, okay.
All right, so our goal on this thing tonight, from my point of view, was we wanted to get these people in here and talk face-to-face with them. Obviously, that was a good thing. Now I'm going to ask council to take back this information, chew on that a little bit. I wrote down some notes, some ideas you guys have. Once we can formulate some good questions and options, we'll see if we can get the MDOT person on the line. Maybe she'll just do like a Zoom call with us or something.
Yeah, she might be able to attend.
What was Beavers or Lumber's feedback on that option?
Well, obviously, they're not real happy about having to only be able to turn right or whatever, but...
Is there a way we can share the entry into the harbor with them?
That's what the MDOT told me you'd have to do. You have to go to your back parking lot and go out that way like that.
That's not the end of the world.
No, it's not the end.
It's a public road.
It's not, no. Yes, sir.
One last comment, I'm sorry,
But just wanted to invite anybody in the city council, you can come stand in our driveway from about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon on, and you'll see exactly what we're talking about.
I've walked the road there. It's super dangerous.
Yeah. You stand there and you watch the trucks and the trailers coming through, you'll be sold that it's a dangerous situation.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else? All right. Thanks, you guys. Obviously, we've been working on this, but like Warren said, when you're working with MDOT and the railroad, they slow you down. And the lady from MDOT was out there, and we tried to talk to her, and she said, and we said about the railroad, and she said they have the same problem with them. If you try to call them and get a hold of them, it's 3 weeks later, a month later, they finally call you back.
And those 3 options, I mean, that's it. That's all we can work with. There's nothing else.
That's what 7 months of me calling repeatedly have.
I just don't see why they just can't change the transition, the southbound transition, somewhere between the curve in the road and the entrance to the marina.
yes.
To me, that just makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
What about the speed, just the speed? Can they distribute the speed down
So,
from 40 to 30?
So a few years ago, I had the MDOT guy out here. And Chief, correct me, stop me if I'm not getting this right, but I said, our goal is to slow it down. You want the traffic going from the north end to the south end and vice versa, 25, 30 miles an hour. MDOT told me, the only way we'll do that, we'll have to do a traffic study first. And what we're going to do is we're going to time the cars. And whatever speed 80% of the cars are going, that will be your speed limit. And I said, well, wait a minute, those cars are going like 45, 50 miles an hour. He said, that's why you better be careful because you might raise your speed limit. So our idea was, let's get a road diet, let's bring the speed limit down, then do the study, then maybe we can do it. But we're not there yet. We're trying to still work out these kind of things. Yeah. Yep.
We had them put one of those signs in our driveway, your speed is, you know?
Yeah.
And that worked as long as it was
That
there.
was about 10 years ago, you know? It helped while it was there for a while until they recognized that nothing was really going to happen.
Right.
Would it deter, I don't know if the police chief over there would know, but in Marysville, they have the speed thing that's on a solar thing. It's telling you the speed when you're going in north on M29 there. And would that kind of slow people down or something like that? Is that
It
something?
works for a while, right? And then they just...
Is that kind of deter people from speeding? Put a police car out there all the time.
Those worked for about 2 weeks, but
Yeah, they catch you.
no, all they do is they're telling people that know they're speeding that they're speeding. That's pretty much it. So I have that thing, and we haven't put it on Oakland yet, but it tells us, it'll give us the speeds of all the cars 24 hours a day for 7 days, and then we can tell. We're working our way there. Maybe we'll get there sooner, I don't know. But
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
We'll go to number 9, claims in accounts, July 22nd, 29, 2021. Any questions?
Hearing no questions, Your Honor, make a motion to approve as presented.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, number 10, public questions and comments. Anybody have anything non-agenda? 3 minutes if you want to come up and say something else. All right, we're going to go to number 11, Mayor and Council. I have a couple things. Here's some events coming up. August 4th, as Mr. Gothi mentioned, the community night out block party, 4:30 to 7:30. Chief Raker will be in the dunk tank. August 21st, jazz concert, 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock, Palmer Park. August 28th and 29th, St. Clair Art Fair, 10 a.m. to 6 a.m., 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then August 29th, Sunday, Rotary Pine River Turtle Race, 4 p.m. to 4:30, Rotary Park. I also want to take a minute, and then I'm going to let him expand on this, but Mr. Kinsfather was heavily involved with the boat races over the weekend, and I just want to say I have gotten tons of positive feedback. There's tons of positive feedback.
That's awesome.
You want to say a couple of things about?
Yeah, actually, I hope I don't have too much here. I just want to thank a lot of people. I want to thank our sponsors, of course, Magna, Cargill, Pewers, St. Clair Chamber of Commerce, Tobook, Raven Cranes, Waste Management, DTE, AEW, Foster Oil, Sunrise Convenience Stores, Sensation, Murray Underground, West Haven Builders, Rivers Bend Marina, Thorpe Printing, Murphy's Inn, LaCroix's Pub, Drifters, Pepper Joe's, Warwater, Voyager, along with the City of St. Clair, the Police Department, and all the support departments that showed up to help Chief, same with the Fire Department, the DPW, County Sheriff Marine Division, U.S. Coast Guard, all of the race teams, the fans, OPA and P1, Blue Water, Offshore Racing, and the volunteers. Who did I miss?
MSC Flooring, they came in at the last minute, and they donated some money and sponsorships as well.
Okay, awesome. And then we did have another sponsor out at the end of Kearney Drive.
Plains LPG.
Plains LPD. And last but not least, I want to thank Mayor Bill Cedar because he went above and beyond to help put this race on. So thanks, everyone.
Good job, you guys. There's so many people involved with the thing. I think it really, this community really shone out, you know.
And the mayor also got a nice award Sunday morning.
I wonder if I can say that.
Can we just back off of me for a while?
What do you want? What do you want?
Unsung hero. Ray Scuda